Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to be talking about solving quadratic equations, and let's begin with something that looks like this. X squared minus 7x plus 10 equals 0. So this guy has a squared term, an x term, and a constant term. So things that look like that require two steps to solve. Number one, we have to make equal to 0 if it's not already. Here it's already equal to 0, so that's good. The second step is we always try to factor if we can. Now sometimes we can't factor, and when we can't factor, we have to use a quadratic equation. So let's see if this guy's going to factor. We're going to circle that 10. I'm going to make my list of factors of 10, 1 and 10, 2 and 5. Let's do negatives 2. All of these numbers multiply to be positive 10. The one that we want is the pair that adds up to be negative 7, and these guys will fit that. So we're going to rewrite this now as x minus 2, x minus 5 equals 0. Now the two numbers that satisfy this equation are 2 and 5, and they satisfy it because if I was to plug in the number 2 here into this step, 2 minus 2 is 0, and then 0 times whatever that is 0. Or if I was to plug in 5 minus 2 is something, but the one we care about is 5 minus 5, which is 0, and we'll make everything 0. And we can also plug these equations into this top equation, and it's also going to work. 5 squared minus 7 times 5 plus 10 is going to be the same thing as 25 minus 35 plus 10, which is equal to 0. Now you can check your solutions graphically as well. Let's go ahead and plug this into Desmos and just make sure we get the same thing. So if I write this here in Desmos, we're going to do x squared minus 7x plus 10. And we take a look here. It goes through these 2 points. When x is 2, y is 0, and when x is 5, y is 0. So your two solutions to the equation are 2 and 5. Okay, this one is for you to solve now. X squared minus 6x minus 16. Go ahead and give that a go. Okay, so your first thing should be to try to factor. So let's make a list of factors of negative 16. 1 and negative 16, 2 and negative 8, 3 doesn't go into it, 4 and negative 4. All right, I could do some more combinations, but I'm already seeing the one that I want, the 2 and the negative 8. So we're going to do x plus 2, x minus 8 equals 0. There should have been equals 0 there. And so my solutions are negative 2 and 8. Let's go ahead and drop this guy into Desmos and see if we get the same answer here. So here, this is going to be x squared minus 6, minus 6x minus 16. Let's zoom out. And yep, here's the solutions, negative 2 and 8. Okay, now let's do something that's in a different form. Let's do something that looks like this. X squared plus 2x. Now notice I've only got an x squared term, I've only got an x term, and we're going to set that equal to 0. Now there's two steps. Number one, we have to make it equal to 0, and in this case it already is, so that makes it easy. Now the second step, we have to factor. Now, unlike the first example we did, these types of questions will always be able to factor. Okay, so to factor these, let's look at what x squared is really made up of. X squared is xx, 2x is 2x. The thing they both have in common is an x. And so we're going to write that there. And now all the leftovers get dropped into here. we're just doing the distributive property backwards. And in fact, you can use the distributive property to check. X times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. Okay, so we've got it. We made it equal to 0. We factored it. And so here, our solutions are going to be x equals 0 and x equals -2. And the reason these are solutions is because if I was to drop them into the equation, let me switch my colors here, then I'm going to have 0 times 0 plus 2, which is 0 times 2. 0 times 2 is going to be 0. So 0 is a solution. And if I was going to replace this now with 2, or -2, -2 plus 2 is 0. -2 times 0 is 0. And so those are the two numbers that make 0. Okay, we can also, like before, plug this into Desmos and check to see if it works. And yeah, you can see your solutions, -2 and 0. Okay, let's give this one a try. Go ahead and do this one on your own. Let's do x squared minus 4x equals 0. Okay, you factor in x, so your two solutions are 0 and 4. At this stage, you can just, it's called solve by inspection. You can just look at it and say, oh yeah, the solutions are 0 and 4. Remember, the sign here is going to flip. Okay, so we've done the first type equation, the second type. Now let's go and do the third type you might come across. Let's say you've got something like this. X squared minus 25 equals 0. Now, two different ways of solving this. One way you can do this is you can factor this. X minus 5, x plus 5 equals 0. And then flip the sign to 5, flip the sign to -5, and here are your solutions. Now, another way of solving this is you can add, in this case, 25 to both sides. So x squared equals 25. And now we can take the square root. Now here when we take the square root, it's not any ordinary square root. It is a plus minus square root. And so our answer is going to be plus minus 5. That plus minus is really important. And the plus minus just means 5 comma -5. Okay, let's go ahead and do this one on your own. X squared minus 16 equals 0. Okay, so probably the easiest thing to do here is to add 16 to both sides. X squared equals 16. Take the square root, but remember it's a plus minus. So you get x equals plus minus 4. Now every time you solve these, you can always go back to your original equation, plug in the solutions, and see if they work. Let's try this here. 4 squared minus 16 is 0, so that works. Let's try -4. -4 squared minus 16 is 0. Okay, so both of those work. All right, let's go and talk about the next type of thing. Now remember the very first example we did looked like this. You've got x squared minus 7x plus 10 equals 0. And we got two really nice solutions here. X equals 2, x equals 5. Now let's look at this on a graph here really quick. Go back here to Desmos, and we've got x squared minus 7x plus 10. Okay, and you've got your two solutions here, 2 and 5. Now, what if I were to raise this parabola, raise this quadratic up 1 unit? How's that going to look? Let's just take a look at this. Instead of plus 10, let's do like that. Actually, we lowered it down a little bit. Okay, in this case, you can see these are not going to be nice even numbers. That means we're not going to be able to factor this. And we could, see that from this thing. Let me go back here. If we had written something like this, then you can't factor that, right?